Hey, so let's talk about something real. We're getting into a huge idea today, how to finally stop relying on just willpower and motivation to get things done and actually achieve the success you're after. The secret? Well, it's all about building systems.
You know the feeling, right? You set a huge goal, you're fired up, full of motivation, and then a few weeks later it just kind of fades away. We've all been there, that burst of New Year's energy that's gone by February. So if sheer willpower isn't enough to get us there, what is?
Okay, so before we go any further, we really need to define what success even means, because it's not just about hitting some random target. True, lasting success is really a mix of three things. First, working on goals you genuinely, deeply care about. Second, achieving them without completely wrecking your health or your relationships, balance. And third, and this is a big one, actually finding some joy in the process, not just waiting for the finish line.
So, here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll talk about why willpower just isn't cutting it. Then, we'll get into the systemic approach as the answer. And after that, we're getting super practical. We'll look at systems you can build for your work and then for your life.
All right, let's dive into part one, the problem. That three-part definition of success we just talked about. Intrinsic, balanced, and enjoyable. It's pretty much impossible to get there if you're just riding these inconsistent waves of motivation. That's the struggle pretty much everyone faces.
And that brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer. It's this: if you build the right systems, you are just so much more likely to hit your goals, keep that balance, and yes, actually enjoy the journey. Systems are the things that turn your good intentions into consistent, day-to-day action.
So, if we agree that willpower is just too flaky to count on, what's the alternative? It's all about building a framework, and that's exactly what the systemic approach is.
So what in the world is a system? Honestly, it's pretty simple. It's just a step-by-step set of actions or a checklist that you follow to get a specific result. The key phrase here is designing your defaults. You're making the right choice the easiest choice so you don't have to think about it every single time.
Think about it like this. Relying on willpower alone feels like you're constantly pushing a giant boulder uphill. It takes a ton of effort and your results are all over the place. Now, building a system, yeah, that takes a little more effort right at the beginning, but once it's up and running, you get consistent results with way less effort. It's just a smarter investment of your energy.
And look, this isn't just some feel-good productivity theory. In fields where mistakes could be catastrophic, we're talking life or death, they don't bet on someone's genius in the moment. No way. They trust systems.
Just look at aviation. The entire industry is built on systems. A pilot doesn't just, feel their way through a takeoff. They follow incredibly detailed checklists before, during, and after every single flight. There are zero exceptions.
And it's the exact same thing in medicine. You can have a surgeon with 50 years of experience, and they are still going to use a checklist before every single operation. Why? Because they're following a proven system to get the best possible outcome. That's the whole point. Systems slash the risk of human error, whether you're landing a plane, performing surgery, or, just trying to make it to the gym 3 times a week.
Okay, so the theory is solid, but how do we actually apply this to our own lives? Let's start with the professional world, with systems you can build right now to seriously optimize how you work.
First up, goal setting. Most people have these vague resolutions like, I want to be more productive this year. A system takes that fuzzy idea and turns it into a structured, repeatable process that will actually lead you somewhere.
The key is to have a method. One really powerful one is called the GPS system. You start big with your vision. Think of it as your life's compass. Then you get a little more specific with a 3-year sketch of where you want to be. And then you break that down into actionable 90-day goals or quests. See? It takes a big dream and turns it into a concrete step-by-step plan. All right. The next huge system for work is for managing the one resource you can never get more of, your time. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. The real game changer is systemizing how you actually use them.
Think about this number for a second. 100. Once you take out sleep and just, basic life stuff, that's roughly how many hours you have each week to get everything done. Your work, your family, your health, your hobbies, it all has to fit into those 100 hours. That scarcity is exactly why having a system for your time is absolutely crucial.
A really solid time management system is built on these 3 pillars. You've got time blocking, which just means you put your big priorities into your calendar before anything else. Then there's prioritization. This is the tough part of deciding what actually matters, because you can't do it all. And finally, reflection. A weekly review to see if you spent your time on the right things and to adjust your plan for the week ahead. Okay, let's shift gears now from our work lives to, well, the rest of our lives, because these same principles are just as powerful, maybe even more so, when it comes to building a real foundation for personal well-being.
I love this idea. Think of your health as your body's operating system, or Health OS. Instead of waking up every day and making random choices about sleep, food, and exercise, you create a default program that runs on autopilot. A good Health OS just makes sure the fundamentals are covered without you having to burn through willpower.
Now this next one might sound a little weird at first. Systems for relationships? But just think about this quote for a second. The best relationships don't just survive on spontaneous romance. They thrive because of systems that ensure you're making time for the people who matter, especially when life gets crazy.
So what does this actually look like? It's as simple as scheduling a weekly date night that you don't cancel, or doing a monthly check-in with your partner to just talk about how things are going. It could be a standing weekly meetup with your friends, so you're not always trying to nail down a time. This isn't about taking the fun out of it. It's about building a foundation of intention, so those important connections don't get lost in the shuffle.
And our last system is all about personal finance. Let's be honest, so much of our financial stress comes from making emotional, in-the-moment decisions with our money. A system takes that emotion out of the equation and puts your good habits on autopilot.
This is the classic pay-yourself-first system, and it works like a charm. The second your paycheck hits your account, a system you already set up automatically moves money to your savings, to your investments, and to pay your bills. You make the smart choice one time, and the system handles it perfectly every single time after that. And the best part? Whatever is left over, you can spend it completely guilt-free.
So, as we wrap up, the real question isn't if systems work. We've seen they absolutely do. The question for you is, which one will you start with? Take a look at your life, your work, your health, your relationships, your finances. What is the one simple system you could build, starting this week, that would make the biggest positive change for you?